Further debate, the member for Davenport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And before I start, just wanted to inform the House that I will be sharing my time with the Minister of Transportation and the Minister of Community and Social Services. Mr. Speaker, I'm rising this afternoon to discuss Bill 70 and the impact that it will have on the people of Davenport. For the past 11 years, this government has built Ontario up, and I believe that this bill is essential for making life easier for the people of Ontario while growing the economy and managing spending. However, Bill 70 is of particular importance to my riding of Davenport, as we have one of Ontario's craft distilleries in my riding. Younghurst Distillery is producing new and interesting products and is one of the small but growing number of Ontario craft distillers. In fact, in 2016, we now have 8 times more craft distillers than we had in 2011. I had the opportunity to have a tour at Younghurst earlier this year in July and met its co-owners, Rocco and John Paul. While touring the distillery, I spoke to them and heard their concerns about how beer and wine were being treated differently in Ontario as opposed to distilled spirits, and what the Ontario government could do to grow the craft spirits industry here. After my meeting with Younghurst, I had the opportunity to share their concerns and the concerns of other craft distillers from around the province with both Minister Sousa and Minister Nakfi. In those conversations, the ministers assured me to our continued commitment to fostering a more innovative and dynamic business environment in Ontario, including for the rapidly growing craft distillery sector. That's why we listened to Ontario distillers and introduced legislation that, if passed, would replace the LCBO markup and commission structure at on-site distillery retail stores. I believe that this legislation is a good step forward in continuing to foster the relationship between the government and Ontario's craft distillers. This change in the legislation would bring them more into line with how Ontario deals with beer and wine produced in the province. Passage of the bill will also expand sales opportunities by allowing craft spirits to deliver directly to bars and restaurants, making it easier for bars and restaurants to develop relationships with craft distillers and grow their businesses. I know that Rocco and John Paul spoke to me specifically about this issue. We have been and continue to support small producers in the spirits industry and remain committed to supporting the growth and expansion of this emerging sector. But I recognize that Bill 70 is just a first step on the road with Ontario craft distillers and that there is more work to be done, Mr. Speaker. And if the bill passes second reading, I would encourage the stakeholders, like the members of the Ontario craft distillers and Younghurst, to participate in the public hearings of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to stand in support of Bill 70. The legislation is a positive step, albeit a small first step, to be made by the government to support craft distillers, just one facet of a bill that will assuredly build Ontario up. My hope is that with the passage of this bill, you will be able to see more of the good things made in Ontario, made in Davenport, in bars and restaurants close to you. And I look forward to continue working with Younghurst to ensure that this happens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Minister of